Hey everyone, I'm Matt Gilhooly, and I am the host of the Life Shift podcast. And the Life Shift podcast stems from my own personal experience. And so I get to have these conversations with people about the pivotal moments that have changed everything in their life. When I was 8, my mom was killed in a motorcycle accident. And at that very moment in time, when my dad sat me down and had to tell me that my mom had died, everything about my life changed in that moment. And so now I use that experience and have these conversations with like the most amazing humans, and they share their stories about these pivotal moments. And I'm just so lucky to be me.
Hi, I'm Ashley Gould, and I'm the host of On the Table with Ashley, a podcast where I have conversations with open-hearted people about subjects that are often left off the table. I recently completed my first series on death and dying, which to me is one of the subjects that we fail to talk about, that we most need to talk about. My podcast also bridges to my company, Attend, which is an elevated, everyday home goods brand focused on designing and creating beautiful everyday objects for you to set the table, to have the conversations that are the hard ones to have. Because my opinion is when we have the hard conversations, our life becomes more meaningful and our human connection deepens. I hope you'll listen.
And if I can jump in, I think that people definitely should listen to your podcast, not only for the episodes that came before this Death and Dying series, but this Death and Dying series is so important. I think that as Americans, I can only speak as Americans because I am one, I don't think we talk about it enough. I talk about it too much probably, but I don't think enough people talk about death and dying and the fact that it's going to happen to all of us. And I love that you've brought in professionals from the space to talk from their perspectives, what they see families do, what they see families not doing, what they should be doing. I think there's so much value that even if we're a little uncomfortable hearing it or talking about it, it's so important because it might plant a seed for someone that might change the way that they approach the next relationship in their life that might be meeting this end. Thank you for just putting that into the world. I think it's just so needed, and I love all the episodes so far.
Thank you, Matt. And I'll just share the compliment and say that I not only loved being a guest on your podcast and frankly, just the opportunity to talk about my dad, Harvey Gould. Every opportunity I get is one that I will take. But also I've listened to a number of your episodes and I love how you give people the platform and the space to share their stories, which are often difficult stories. And my opinion is that those difficult stories are the ones that enable other people to learn and grow from. And so that they can maybe avoid those life shifts. Maybe they can't, maybe they can, maybe they can't. But whether they can or they can't, they'll know how to move through them with more confidence and grace. And I think that's really a gift.
Thank you for that. I think you're right. I think what sometimes we need to see, and this is what On the Table with Ashley does, and which I hope to do on the Life Shift podcast, is that people can hear these stories and they feel less alone.
Yeah.
They feel like they belong to a community of other people that have had similar experiences, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever it might be. But they can relate to a little segment of someone's life story and feel like, oh, I'm not the only one feeling this way, and it's okay. Yeah. Because I think for us, probably growing up, there were probably times where we were like, oh, I shouldn't feel that way because it's not okay. But it is, because we're humans.
Absolutely.
Well, if you have listened to this little shout out, we just had a recording with Ashley on the Life Shift podcast, and we wanted to share each other's podcasts with you guys. So if you're interested in listening to the Life Shift podcast, which I hope you are, you can go to www.thelifeshiftpodcast.com or go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much everywhere, YouTube, all the places, and check out some of the episodes. And I would just be so grateful.
If you want to find On the Table with Ashley, you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also go to Attend, AMEATENDRE.com. We have a link to our podcast there as well. And we would absolutely love to have you listen and also love to get ideas for future series. So please listen and share.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for listening, and hopefully we'll see you on our feeds.